Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
My son has been married to his college girlfriend for at least 8 years now. They don't have kids because my son is infertile and they never really wanted one anyways. I've always been a little more enthusiastic to suggest other methods to have kids. I somewhat forced them for 2 to 3 years, but then my daughter-in-law snapped at me, and for the sake of not hurting her anymore, I apologized and never told them about kids anymore. It was up to them. My son told me it was causing problems between them. I felt really guilty, and slowly I thought that because of that she started cutting contact with me, and along with her, my son didn't talk to me much either. We just see each other around Christmas and sometimes the 31st if we're at my sister's place. I've only one son, so we grew up being really close to each other, and this whole cutting me off thing was the saddest thing to me. 2 weeks ago, my son suddenly showed up at my house. No bags, nothing. I thought he needed something, so I let him, only to realize that he was kinda stoned. He didn't say much, just went to his old bedroom and slept. I tried calling my daughter-in-law, but I was blocked on her phone, so couldn't reach her. I made sure that my son was all comfy and tried to talk some context of the whole situation out to him, but too bad, he was asleep. Next morning, he woke up and was sitting on the living room couch. He was busy the whole time while checking his phone, and when I started checking up on him, he told me that he was out with some friends and his wife had gone to visit her parents in the next city, and while hanging out, he lost the key, so he asked his friends to drop me off near my place. I was okay with the whole him coming over thing. Then we talked a lot of things about how he has been doing and remembering his father. My son was always an emotional child, so him crying over nostalgia isn't something new. After the whole catching up, I asked about my daughter-in-law, and he looked sad and told me that things were going good. I could feel things not being good. I didn't dig much deeper and told him everything would be okay. He looked relieved, but the sadness didn't leave his face. When I asked about him leaving, he said that he could live a few more days without her and told me how much he missed being around me and all the stuff we did. I felt so sorry for my baby and told him that he can stay forever if he wants to. He even had taken the week off from work so we could literally have a whole day of being together and having all sorts of fun. I even called my sister over and told her to ask her son, who is 2 years younger than my son, but they used to be best friends when they were younger, to come over so that my son can have the full experience at my home and relive the life he used to have while being surrounded with family. I sound selfish, but my son is the only one I have left after my husband passed away. We were really close, like we used to sit and talk and give each other advices, and I don't know, maybe I missed the fact that he was the last person I ever opened up to, and he too was taken away from me because I didn't know when to shut up. Days pass by, and my son stays with me. I don't question it. I like how things are going, and I don't want this moment to end. After 3 days passed by, around night, I got a call from an unknown number. When I picked it up, I was surprised that my daughter-in-law would call me ever. She skipped the greetings and went straight to tell me that I should stop hiding her husband and how come he's gone for 3 days and all of those things. I wanted to speak, but she would cut me off and start accusing how I should stop being near my son as it makes her throw up, and us being close makes everything weird because I'm trying to steal her husband. I have had it till then and didn't want her to put her sick opinions on mine and my son's relationship, which none of it is true and completely gross. After hanging up, I started crying, and my son noticed it and asked me what happened when I told him about his wife looking for him. He started crying and sweating and getting nervous. I told him about how she talked to me, and he looked really guilty about the whole thing and kept on apologizing. I asked him what had happened, and he told me the truth while breaking down that she has been physically and verbally abusing him too. I was shocked. He opens his shirt and starts showing me the marks and says that he looked high because he came straight from the emergency room. He had asked his friends not to tell me because he didn't want me to worry about other things. I was so heartbroken right at the moment my child has been going through so much and I knew nothing about it. He has had experiences with being bullied throughout his middle school and he doesn't react well to violence. He spirals and his ability to fight against a problem goes out and he becomes numb. He had really bad incidents revolving around bullying. It's sad to even think that my child is going through all of it again. I can't think correctly. All I want to do is beat that woman up, but I'm scared that she will do something worse if I go anywhere near her. So I invited his friends over and asked them about the whole thing that was going on. And yes, we are definitely taking legal help in this. And no, this isn't no more some family brawl or something. It's about my son being bullied and abused, and he is a victim. He deserves justice, and I will fight for him. I have called our attorney, and yes, he has been pleading so much for me not taking any steps against his wife. She deserves prison, and I don't think you can even call her a woman. She first isolated my son from the rest of our family and then has been inflicting abuse upon him. And when my son starts hanging out with me, she makes indecent comments about our relationship. I don't know where these things are going and what's going to happen. They are divorcing, that's for sure. He doesn't want to, but he has to. I will update more sooner if something progresses. So, a lot of you are confused because I'm sorry I have never made a post on Reddit before, so this was the first time. I will narrate the whole incident one by one in sequence and make it simple to understand. So, my son, after telling me about the whole thing, started having panic attacks, so I had to call his friends and his cousin for help. Because he never had panic attacks before and I was scared. They arrived in 10 minutes and helped me calm him down. He slept right after, and his friends told me about the whole ER thing, and my nephew knew what to do. He is his best friend, so no way he's letting her get away with this shit. Soon after everything, he got in contact with his lawyer, and he suggested a really good lawyer who is based in our city. We spoke to her, and she suggested we hold up a meeting. And when my son woke up, he was still scared of all of us judging him. His friends assured him that no one will ever judge him for anything, and whoever does will be subjected to us being cut off. We have to meet up with a lawyer, and yeah, I won't be coming online much and hope I can update as soon as possible. Hi everyone, it's been 3 years since I made this post, and I swear every now and then I think about updating, but it just slips my mind completely. So basically, what has been going on and has happened all went in our favor. We got this really nice lawyer, and she later became my new daughter-in-law. So things went. Like, we collected every proof, sent her the divorce papers and the court notice that we were suing her, and made sure to get a restraining order against her too. And hopefully, we will stay safe, and we had plenty of other proof like the neighbors and friends witnessing, and the phone calls and texts of her admitting to hitting him. She was sued for $50,000 and we got the money, and she will be in prison for 2 years. Look, domestic violence isn't considered a felony until some serious damage was done, and in this case it was. So she got her prison time. And the aftermath of it was quite hard to recover from. It took my son 3 months to accept that he was a victim, and then he started becoming better. He stayed with me for the first year, sold his old house, and bought a new one. Then started showing up for work, so I had to support us for a while. My son is really young. He's just 31, and he's got plenty of time to be successful materially, so now he can just rest for a while. And yes, after getting proper therapy and completely being normal, he started seeing the lawyer who helped him win the case. It was 1.5 years ago now that they are married and are also trying for a baby. No pressure for me, and they really want children, but my son is infertile, so they will probably get a sperm donor and have a child, and adoption is always an option. So yeah, I know I missed out on a lot of details. I just didn't want to give any personal details out. And thank you for interacting and upvoting. Male domestic violence victims need to be taken seriously. Like, no way you can treat someone like that and get away with it because you have a vagina. And yeah, more men do it, but it doesn't make the abuse towards men get cancelled. And honestly speaking, at starting, OP was an AH because she was talking about them having children and forcing them into it, but she didn't know that her son was infertile. So NTA entirely. Felony or not, she deserves jail time. Her being smaller physically justifies nothing either. And OP not having kids is up to them. Stay out of it.
Next story.
I was adopted as a baby, and recently I came into contact with my birth mother. She found us through the agency and said that she'd love to meet. And so we did, and well, apparently, she's Mexican. I mean, she looks very much white, as do I, but she's from Mexico, which I never knew. The past week or so since seeing her has been really conflicting. I told my parents about it and was like, oh, hey, turns out I'm half Mexican, because I don't know, I figured they didn't know. Otherwise, I would have been told. But my mom just said that actually my bio dad is Mexican too, and they were fully aware of this. I have known that I'm adopted for a really long time. It's never been a secret, and I can remember when I realized most kids didn't have stories of their parents meeting and choosing them in the sense that I did, better than when I found out I was adopted. So I never thought that there was something that feels so big that I wouldn't know. I figured anything relevant, I had been told. I asked why this was something that they kept from me, and my parents didn't seem to get it at all. My dad was just all, well, it's not like you asked. And somehow that just escalated into an argument, during which they just kind of said that my parents being Mexican never changed anything about who I was to them, and I get the feeling that they never even considered telling me. And it just feels like this huge part of who I was or who I could be was taken from me, which feels so stupid. But being mad at that moment, I said that I wished I had been adopted by someone who actually cared enough to tell me about my heritage. Obviously, it's a really shitty thing to say, and I love my parents, and they're good parents, but the sentiment behind it rings true even now that I'm not all worked up, and they don't seem to get it at all. So I can't bring myself to apologize for the argument. The topic hasn't been brought up since yesterday, but the tension is kind of tangible. The friend I talked to about it told me that I was being really ungrateful for all that they've done for me and that I need to apologize, but I don't know, AITA? Adoptive parent here. Cross-cultural 1. 2. Your parents did you a huge disservice by not telling you about your heritage. I can't even put into words what a very big deal that was. I do think maybe you were a tiny bit salty, but they actually owe you an apology, not the other way around. Sit down with them and hit them with it, all of it, only calmly this time. They deserve to hear it, but nobody deserves to be verbally attacked, right? NTA. I do believe YTA. As a Hispanic born in Mexico, yes, our culture is great, but what is even better is our loyalty, our family dynamic, our values, and the respect we have for people. Your parents have done everything possible for you to have a great life, and you should be thankful for that. What you said was uncalled for. I think you're forgetting what's important, and that's the love and opportunities that they have given you. The thing about it being a person who is young with no kids is that it's so easy to judge our parents over silly stuff. But is it really worth being so upset and to say those words to them? That's going to hurt. Meeting your bio mom is great, but it's also an emotional roller coaster. Don't let those emotions blind you. Do better. Be thankful for everything that they've given you. Life could have been worse, and be thankful for your birth mom too. Life is a blessing. They have done the best they can and a few mistakes along the way, but hey, nobody's perfect. Don't crucify them over this.
Next story.
I have 4 kids, 3 with my ex, Jason 14, Kate 12, and Sarah 9. And my niece, Camilla, 16, Camilla's mom had cancer as a teen, and it came back when Camilla was 6 months old. Camilla's dad was never in the picture, so my then wife and I were asked to take Camilla if her mom gets to a point where she can't take care of her. Camilla moved in with us shortly after her first birthday, and her mom passed a few months after that. Camilla always knew that we weren't her biological parents, but we were the only parents she'd ever known. Then, my wife and I got a divorce when Camilla was 8, and my ex said that she didn't want anything to do with Camilla because Camilla isn't hers. Camilla has severe anxiety and abandonment issues because of that. I've had her in therapy since the divorce, but it's never going to go away completely. One thing that Camilla does to calm herself down is suck her thumb. We've been trying to break the habit for years, and she has boxes of fidgets to play with and special jewelry and pencil toppers to chew on. These have helped now, and she usually only sucks her thumb when she's at home in her room. I recently found out that Jason has been bullying Camilla for sucking her thumb and for using those necklaces and pencil toppers. When I found out, I grounded him for 2 weeks and took his electronics for a week. His school's prom was during the first week, so he couldn't go. My ex was furious when she found out I grounded Jason. She said he can't control it because he has ADHD, and that if Jason is being punished for this, then Camilla should be punished for breaking the straw on his water bottle. Each of the kids has a reusable water bottle at my house. These ones have a soft silicone cover on the straw, and Camilla borrowed Jason's bottle when he was at his mom's house and accidentally chewed through the silicone cover. I got it replaced that same day. Jason's prom was on Friday, and he hasn't spoken to me since. NTA, he was bullying. Everyone needs to understand that in your house, you make the rules. His mom needs to understand that and not micromanage your decisions. To that end, you don't have to explain or justify every little thing you do. Teenagers love to exploit differences between parents and stir up trouble, and it sounds like your ex is buying into that. He was bullying. You dealt with it as you saw fit. The accidental damage to an already replaced item is also not grounds for rear-view mirror rehashing. You may come across as a bullheaded AH, but everyone needs to know and understand that you are in charge and have no tolerance for adolescent-induced drama. NTA, your son bullying his sister is not the same as her chewing the end of a straw. Your ex is creepy. AF for saying that. That being said, I have to wonder if he has no problem bullying his sister. What is he doing to kids at school? He needs to know his behavior is unacceptable, and since all grades can go, then he'll make it next year.